speaking of money now, because money is a very touchy topic, have you set, like, is there a minimum wage that a housekeeper is supposed to be paid? It's just you agree with your employer, whatever money you're going to take, you accept humbly and you move on. But do you think there's a minimum wage housekeepers are supposed to be paid? And what would you say is the highest amount you have seen a housekeeper being paid?
Depending on what most of the people do, I don't think we can be able to set the wages for them. Because if someone is working and she's being paid 20,000, and from that 20,000 she's supposed to pay their housekeeper and also take care of other bills, you can't tell that person to pay their housekeepers 15,000. I think the minimum at now, I think it's around 13,000, but most of them don't pay that much.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of The Millionaire Mind. My name is Turife. Now on this show we focus on women in business, both conventional and unconventional. And joining me today we have Wangare. I only know you as Wangare. So if you could introduce people who don't know you and tell us what you do, and yeah, basically that.
Okay, my name is Wangare Caroline, but I prefer Wangare. Yeah, it's not too formal, so I love being called Wangare of the Money Executive Housekeepers, and also Korea Kare, but currently I am more into the money, into housekeeping than cooking. Yeah.
Okay, so how did you get into the housekeeping business? But first of all, before we get there, the brief we read about you and the stories we read about you, it's a very long story and we'd like to hear all about it from the beginning to what led to the Money Executive Housekeeping.
Okay, I am a hotelier by profession, and 2020 when COVID hit, I personally lost my job instantly.
The industry went under.
It went under, and I was on leave, so I didn't even go back to where I was working. And around that 2020 I also got pregnant, so I was here pregnant and without a job, and my husband also was in the service industry. He was on taxi business, and also that one was greatly affected. So we, like all of us, we had nothing. And around that time, I have pastry skills, so I started doing pastries and posting online, and that is how now Korea Kare came to be. I did chapati, mandazi, donuts, and all those. But before that, I am a professional housekeeper. So I have been working as a housekeeper for long. During, I think, 2017 and 2018, I used to post. I was looking for housework. I was doing housekeeping, I was doing house cleaning, laundry, general cleaning, and ironing. But I was not doing it as a business then. It was just something that instead of staying at home, I looked at it and I thought I could give people the services, the housekeeping services. Then I went back to employment. Now 2020 when COVID hit and now I lost the job again, I ventured into the pastry business, and I did it for quite a while. And along that time, there is a friend of mine who knew I was doing housekeeping, and then she told me, why don't you, my housekeeper is going for a leave, why don't you come and step in? I have a new housekeeper. She had two, and one, the current one was going for a leave. So she called me and told me, come and train my new housekeeper on few housekeeping skills. And that is how now the Money was born. It was not out of my it is me who born that. It was her. She actually told me, you come for 5 days, I will pay you this much, and you train my new nanny. And that is how now I started.
Awesome. It's basically you finding a niche in the market and you catering to that niche. So now when it comes to training house helps, how do you now train them? In what ways do you train them? Because most of us, you go to somewhere, I think I speak for most of us when I say sometimes you'll find somebody who needs work and you tell them, Kuja, this is what you do in my house. You cook, you clean, you do other things. So what exactly do you mean by training housekeepers?
You know, I have been working in the hotel industry, and you know, we do it perfectly.
Yes.
Yeah, in the housekeeping, we don't leave room for
imperfection.
Yeah. So when now I started, and then you go and you go and find in a house, the owner of the house or the owner of the home, they have invested in a lot of things, a lot of good things, and then you find the housekeeper who is there is not doing their jobs perfectly.
Yeah.
You will find even doing the curtains nicely, hazikui, or the bed.
Yeah.
So that is now where I come in. I train them on making beds, ironing properly, cleaning, and different detergents and materials that we use for cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you now do follow-up after you've already trained a house help, you've taken them to the house, or you've trained them in the house? Do you do a follow-up after that?
Yes, I try as much as I can to do follow-ups, because mine is kind of different, because I train them in their jobs.
Yeah.
So I go and I talk to the employer, and now they give me what they want. So that is what now I use, because different households have
require different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what exactly would you say is the goal of housekeeping, if there is?
It depends. With housekeeping is wide.
Yeah.
And there are those now. I found a niche in the domestic housekeeping, but there are other housekeeping services. There are those who do commercial housekeeping. There are those who do hotels. And personally, I do I like the domestic one, where I train. I want to see there is something that is missing in the Kenyan market. You will find that there are no professional housekeepers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
just mama fua, and that's it.
Yeah, and we have given room for our domestic houses not to just be professional. We want them to just come, and we give them room to just not do their jobs well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And especially when you're starting up, what do you need to start such a business? What did you need at that time, especially given that you are transitioning from, you know, cooking pastries to now training domestic workers? What would you need now to start up?
Just the skills. If you have the skills, if you can, you have the housekeeping skills, you know what is required to maybe do the laundry and do the cleaning. You don't need much. The only thing I added extra was a uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you think a uniform is necessary, especially when it comes to housekeeping? Because especially in our culture as Africans, sometimes, you know, a housekeeper wearing a uniform rubs us off the wrong way. So what are your feelings about that?
I prefer uniforms.
Yeah. You think it's professional?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not degrading at all?
No, it is not degrading at all. Yeah.
Okay. And would you say you needed a business plan when you got into it, or did you just find your first client and then they started rolling in? Or after that first experience, did you now go back to the drawing board, sit down and say, okay, we need a plan to execute this business perfectly now?
Now it is hitting me that now I need a business plan.
Wow.
Initially, you see, it's someone who saw
the
need and now just told me, and I did not even think about it. It was not my thought. And now, having served more than 15 to 20 clients, now I think it's high time now I invest in a business plan.
Wow, we live and we learn every day.
Yeah.
So what would you say are the types of housekeepers? Are there categories in which they're based? You mentioned commercial and domestic. What are the differences? And also, is there international and, you know, institutional housekeeping? How would you categorize all of them?
the commercial housekeepers, mostly they are the ones that are contracted to, maybe they just come with their machines, or they come and clean institutions or hospitals or any other place. And now the domestic housekeepers, they are the ones that take care of our homes. And we have in homes, we have housekeepers, we have cooks, and we have nannies. But in Kenyan setup, they do,
it's one person who's doing everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you'll find others who give different jobs. Yeah.
Apart from training, are there other services you offer? For example, this is especially rampant outside of Kenya, housekeepers who go to, let's say, the Middle East for work, and they start saying they're exploited, they're being, treated unfairly. Does that also happen here in the country? And do you feel like your role extends beyond training? Do they come to you with their problems and you figure out a way to help them?
Yes, because when I train them, I always come down to their level. So we are able, the 5 days or the 3 days I spend with them, most of them kinda they are able to tell me what they are going through. But I think here most of the clients that I've handled, they all treat their housekeepers well. Because having a person to pay a certain amount of money for them to be trained, to be added a skill, I think most of them mean well for their housekeepers. Yeah.
And speaking of money now, because money is a very touchy topic, have you set, like, is there a minimum wage that a housekeeper is supposed to be paid? It's just you agree with your employer, whatever money you're going to take, you accept humbly and you move on. But do you think there's a minimum wage housekeepers are supposed to be paid? And what would you say is the highest amount you have seen a housekeeper being paid?
Depending on what most of the people do, I don't think we can be able to set the wages for them. Because if someone is working and she's being paid 20,000, and from that 20,000 she's supposed to pay their housekeeper and also take care of other bills, you can't tell that person to pay their housekeepers 15,000. I think the minimum as at now, I think it's around 13,000, but most of them don't pay that much. But I've seen people who pay their domestic work as well. I've seen someone who is paid around 25,000, but now they have skills. That person can drive, can cook well, can take care of the house. The more you are paid, you have to at least have skills for you to be paid that much.
Okay. What about experiences where you train somebody and then the client calls you back and says, huyu ulimfunza lakini ni kama hashiki, haelewi kazi, they're not doing what they're supposed to do? Do you now take them back for a retraining, or do you recommend for them to be fired?
I always give a report at the end of the training. I'll tell you if your housekeeper is able to work or not, because the employer, most of them have not interacted with those housekeepers. So when you spend 5 days with them, you are able to know what kind of a person that person is. So at the end of the training, I always give report.
Okay. And do you have a training center of your own, or do you just go to people's houses and train, their house helps?
At the moment, I'm training at the clients' houses.
Okay. And speaking of the clients, how do you now approach a client? Because you need to figure out where your next, source of income is coming from. You finished training here, maybe it was a referral by word of mouth, but now sometimes you can't rely on referrals. You have to take initiative. So now how do you identify a client who needs your service, approach them, and figure out how to work with them?
At the moment, I am online, so I always post my work online, and also engage in those moms groups. I am always there. I give advices. That is where they get my contacts from. And recently we started a program where we do we arrange wardrobes. I have gone to houses
Decluttering.
where, we do declutter and also do wardrobe arrangements. You know, you can go to a client's house and the first thing you notice, even before you start, you cannot train in that house. That house is too cluttered for you to start training. Now that is where most people have gotten my contacts from there, and that is where I get most of my clients from.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the best social media medium to use currently? Are you big on Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok? What social media medium are you using right now?
I am using Facebook. I have not been able to do a TikTok and Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Thamani Executive Housekeepers, is it a one-man show, or have you been able to now have employees who are under you?
Now we have started the house arrangement. Now I have two other people who help me with that. But the training, I am still the one who is doing the training. Most of the people don't want any other person to go train their housekeepers for them. But I am considering now doing the training center. At least there I'll be able to get more people. I can be able to train more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say, first of all, how long have you been doing the housekeeping business?
6 months now.
Yeah. What would you say are the challenges you have faced so far?
The only problem I got now, it was when I was doing the convention or the other housekeeping.
Yeah.
You remember I've told you I started now doing the cleaning and I was offering mini services as a package. I used to cook 3 types of snacks. I do laundry, I do ironing, and housekeeping, now the general housekeeping, the whole general housekeeping. And I remember there was a time I got into a client's house, and she expected me to be there by 7, and I was there in the morning. And then she had a heap of clothes where she had done machine washing, and now I had another heap of clothes where I was supposed to hand wash them, clean and iron, and there was no food, so I was supposed to do all that work and finish. I was finishing at around 10 p.m.
Wow. Since
morning. And when I was doing the laundry, you remember she was having another heap that was machine washed, so I was supposed to go and hang them. And now when I was hanging, it kind of started drizzling, and I was told to now pick them from the hanging line and return them to the buckets. Now it was not even 2 minutes, it stopped, and then I was supposed now to pick them up and then hang them again.
Wow.
At that moment, I almost left, but I remember now I am online. That client saw me online and liked my services, and I thought if I am not patient enough, maybe they will go and
give you a bad review
there, and say I am not what
they expected or advertising to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is the only bad experience I've had since I started.
So what would you say is like a bad or a disadvantage or a problem that housekeepers in Kenya right now are facing?
I think most of them, they don't take the housekeeping jobs professionally. They just kind of come, and it is like it's optional. If they had another option,
they would do that.
They would take that one and leave the housekeeping, and that is the reason why most of them are not able to perform. And there is no professionalism in housekeeping.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the housekeepers themselves, the challenges they're facing. For example, you had mentioned the situation with food not being availed to you. Do you think that is like a requirement that the person who employs you is supposed to at least cater for a meal, or do you feel like it's your responsibility to carry your own food and come with it so that you can even take a break at some point.
Yeah, most of them, yeah, you will find their houses that are very mean. Maybe they don't have enough food for the housekeepers, or they will be told to eat the remainings, the food that is in the fridge. Others, they have no time. They have no time to rest. You will see they have a lot to do, and so you'll find from morning they wake up at around 4:30, and maybe they'll go to sleep at 10, and they have not had time to rest.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you say are you able to make sure that your trainees enforce boundaries? Because you've mentioned that there are different categories of housekeeping. There's nannying, there's cleaning, there's doing laundry, there's this and that. How do you make sure that people are able to enforce the boundaries and say, you hired me to be the nanny, you didn't hire me to do all of this, all while maintaining their job and not being fired?
Most of them, they are not able to speak for themselves, but I think it's us employers who don't give job descriptions when we are hiring them.
Yeah.
You will find that you just bring in a person and you don't even tell them what they're supposed to do, and also the housekeepers themselves, they don't know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, but now we are trying to encourage people, when you're hiring, kindly let that person know what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, just give them a job description, tell them exactly what is expected of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, how do you now handle criticism when things don't work out the way you want them to? You've mentioned how you labored on despite being in a difficult situation because of the repercussions. If they were not satisfied with the work you did, they could have gone online and given you a bad review. But now, how do you now handle the bad reviews when they come?
I always listen to them, and I don't take it personally, because it is work. Maybe it is not me who is being attacked. Maybe they may think if now a client maybe complains that their housekeeper did not get the skills they were supposed to get, I always listen to them and offer maybe to go and retrain their nanny, even without
additional
charging
pay.
them, without additional charges. And I always listen to what they have to say to be able to serve the next client.
What would you say is the best way to invest into a business such as yours? Would you be of the option of taking out a loan, or do you slowly build up your savings so that you're able to start your business in an effective way?
It will depend with what you want to do in housekeeping. Like I've said, we have, like, if you want to maybe train nannies, if you have the skills, if you have good housekeeping skills, you don't require any machines or anything to start your job.
True.
You only need yourself and maybe that apron or something, and you take yourself to the client's house, so you will not need any capital to start.
Okay, awesome. And it is one way to get a client and find a client, but now how do you keep a client and make sure they'll always come back to you when they require your services?
Now, apart from the training, I've told you we are doing now the wardrobes and the decluttering, because training, we always hope that we train that nanny or that housekeeper and
they'll
then
be there for a long time.
Yeah, we don't want to train and the housekeeper leaves immediately. You train them, because it makes you feel bad, because you have already been paid and now you finish, and 1 week later you are told now the housekeeper you trained
has left.
But now we are slowly introducing now the wardrobe arrangements and the decluttering services. Yeah.
Okay. And how has that been so far? Because coming to someone's house and calling them out for their behavior, because let's be honest, sometimes it's just about hoarding and not being able to let go of things you should have let go, like clothes from 3 years ago. So now, how has the reception on the decluttering business been?
People have cluttered houses. You see ati nini.
Yeah.
People like holding those things. And I started with my clients. Sometimes you'll go and you're supposed to now train the housekeeper, but there is nowhere. It is either you declutter first and then you train, because at the end of the training you're supposed to leave that house clean, and for the housekeeper to be able to keep up with what you have, the
standard
goals you have put. So I started with the clients, and currently we are running a 30 days program where we are decluttering. It's an online program where I have 30 something ladies. We are decluttering as a group. I am encouraging people to declutter, because it's even easier for you to clean your house when it's not cluttered.
Okay. And what would you say is the target audience or the target clients for your business?
My target client is let's say homeowners. Most of them are homeowners who have invested a lot in building their homes, and they are busy. They are not able to keep telling their nannies what to do. Most of them are very busy, so they have no time to keep asking their nannies, or they want an independent person, and that is where I come in and train the housekeepers to be independent, to be able to make good food, to be able to be self-driven.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. And as we wind up, what would you say is your greatest accomplishment so far, or what do you think is the most rewarding thing as a housekeeper?
Just getting into a house where, you know, when I am going into a client's house and then you leave it clean and tidy, and you come in after some time and the housekeeper that you trained is able to keep that house organized, it always gives me a very good feeling.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So happy that you could join us. Thank you so much for coming in. And what advice would you give to someone who's watching you right now and has a skill, or would like to start something like yours, or would like to get into your program? What would you tell them?
Just start.
Yeah.
If you have a skill and if you think you're good with something, just start. Yeah, and the rest will fall into place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where can they find you on social media? You said it's only you don't venture into other socials.
I am still there, but I'm not active. I am on Facebook at the Money Executive Housekeepers and Riko Riakare.
Okay, Riko Riakare. That's Kikuyu for kitchen of Wangari.
Kitchen.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. We hope we have learned something from you, and thank you for taking the time to join us. As always, if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can use the number 0770-729-366. That's our WhatsApp number. Send us a text and tell us what you think about the show. Also on socials at Ibru TV KE on Facebook and Ibru TV Kenya on Instagram and Twitter. My name is Turife, and until next time.